All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our webinar series here at Big Sky Franchise Team. My name is Tom Dufour. I will be your guide and host for our program today. And we have some exciting news to be sharing. And with the new year comes the next crop of conventions and activity coming up. And so I'm pleased to have on our program with us today Paul Rocchio, Vice President of Development and Member Services with the International Franchise Association. And I've known Paul for many, many years, and we've worked in next to one another throughout franchising for a long time. And he's just an all-around great guy. And I know with the International Franchise Association that they have an annual convention coming up here at the end of February, right into the first part of March time period there. So this is just a great time that if you're wondering, maybe should I attend? Maybe is that something that I should be considering? He's the guy to be answering those questions. So with that, Paul, I'd love for you just to give a little introduction to you, for you and the IFA. And then let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the convention and get some folks motivated to attend, or maybe on the, maybe they're on the cusp, maybe they're on the fringe, not sure yet.
Oh, they are wonderful. And Tom, thank you very much. Yes, you and I have known each other for a while now. We're not getting any younger, my friend. But
No.
and as always, man, thank you for the opportunity today. I'm looking forward to chatting with folks and hopefully educating folks as well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit about myself. I've been with IFA. I think March is going to be like 24 years. Hard to imagine. It seems like I still feel like the new guy, but I guess I'm smart, stupid, or a little of both. They keep me around, But we all love franchising, right? And that's and honestly, I mean, I jokingly say I'm a recovering lobbyist. Moved to DC 30 years ago, graduate school at George Washington University, worked up on Capitol Hill briefly, and then started my association career. Most people fall into the association world by accident, pretty much the same way they fall into franchising, right? But working at the Chemical Manufacturers Association, I was in their state government relations department, then moved over to what is now called the Retail Industry Leaders Association, also in state government relations. That was the association for Walmart, Kmart, all the big box retailers, Home Depot. And while I was there, I sat on various coalitions with folks from other associations and got to know people who were here at IFA at the time. And they courted me and got me to move over here to IFA to build and start our political grassroots program. And I was doing some federal lobbying at the time. And Matt Day was our VP of Government Relations, and he brought me on board. And now Matt's the CEO of National Retail Federation. He was the CEO here at IA for a few years before moving over to NRF. And then about 2 years into my term here at FA, just got disillusioned with lobbying and government relations. I'm still a political geek, but fell in love with franchising, and an opportunity opened up on the membership side. And I'd have to, in changing my career path a little bit, I'd probably stick around IFA a little longer than I normally would have. And but didn't think I'd be here, 24 years later. But it's not every day you get to wake up and actually enjoy coming into work and doing what you do. And that's me. So, at the end of the day, IFA, we represent all of franchising, franchisees, franchisors, and suppliers. We always refer to it, our members refer to it as the three-legged stool of franchising. And you can't have a well-balanced stool without, the franchisee, the franchisor, and the supplier. And, IFA was founded 60 years ago by Bill Rosenberg, the founder of Dunkin' Donuts, and a few other folks. But I had the pleasure of knowing Bill my first few years of working here at IFA. And, in that thick Boston accent, he would always tell the story about, how they group of folks were together debating whether or not they should start a trade association. And, he stood up and threw $100 on the table. I won't repeat what he actually, said, or at least what, he claimed to have said, but he threw $100 on the table and said, let's start this association. And here we are 60 years later. And our mission hasn't changed. We still, protect, enhance, and promote franchising day in and day out.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And having worked with you, Paul, one of the things that I love about the IFA is just the clearly it's doing something right when quality folks like you are sticking around 24 years, and there are a whole lot of folks that have been around for a long time. And so for me, just as a member, a supplier member, when I think of the IFA, you are the face that comes to mind. So, and I mean that as a just as a compliment to you and the organization.
Tom. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the franchise convention that's coming up here. And by the way, before we jump into that, I just want our attendees to know this is live. So if you have a question or a comment or something you'd like to type into the chat box or type into the message, just let us know. Type that in. We'll go ahead and ask that. But Paul, let's talk a little bit, and I'll help moderate. So I'll read those and help moderate that for us.
Thank you.
So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the franchise convention and why someone would attend. And our audience tend to be emerging or somewhere around emerging and growing franchise brands, somewhere in that realm.
Oh, sure. No. And thanks, Tom. So yes, granted I'm biased, but the IFA annual convention is really the premier franchising event for the year. Will be taking place at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, February 26th through March 1st. We're on track to have probably over 4,000 people. It looks like we're going to have somewhere maybe between maybe around 4,200 people at this point in time, which is amazing. I mean, we always have around 4,000, but obviously last year we were we had our first in-person convention since the pandemic started. We were very lucky. We were able to have our convention in 2020 because it was right before the pandemic really hit. Our convention's always around February, as you know, and then we were virtual the year after. And I don't know about you all, but I'm kind of over and done with virtual stuff. Of course, I enjoy things like this, right? But virtual conferences and meetings just it's not my, it's not, I'm a people person. I like to hug people, shake hands, and see people face to face. So, as a trade association, we were very lucky and blessed to be able to only, miss 1 year of an in-person convention. So yeah, our annual convention, like our membership, on the franchisor side and even on the franchisee side, and we're really across the board, but on the franchisor side, our members are small startup emerging brands all the way up to what I always refer to as the big boys and girls and everybody in between. So it's all varying levels of maturity. But then even with mature brands, like there was a young person I was helping today who's with a very mature brand, but they're new to franchising. They've never been to the IFA convention before. So I'm treating them like I would any, emerging brand, and encouraging them to come to the new member and first time attendee portion of our convention, and letting them know that, if they have any questions, they could reach out to me, or I'm even happy to, walk them through the agenda. I do that I've been doing that, almost nonstop for the past few weeks. So anybody who's on the call today, and if you're either planning to attend the convention, or even if you've already registered or even thinking about it, please reach out to me, and I'll spend 45 minutes to an hour with you over the phone, kind of walking you through the agenda if you feel like you need that. And Tom, are you going to have my contact information, folks? Or
but let's go ahead and at least give them your email while, if someone's listening in or watching, that they could send you a note real quick. What's your email?
That would be awesome. And I apologize, my last name isn't Smith, but my email is P for Paul, and then my last name Rocchio, which is ROCCIO PCHIO at franchise.org. So PRockio at franchise.org. And then if you want to reach me directly, my direct dial here at IFA is 202-662-0790. Please reach out to me at any time, and I'd be happy to, like I said, personally walk you through the agenda and help you fine tune it and maximize your time there. Yeah, Tom, thanks for that, buddy.
Yeah, and I just want to interject a little bit, because one thing that makes the annual franchise convention unique versus all of the other expos, and I can tell you, I've exhibited at hundreds of franchise shows all over the country. I've done a whole lot of those, and the thing that makes the franchise convention unique, I think there are two big things. If you're new to franchising, or you're just trying to get to that, figure some things out in franchising. Number one, what Paul mentioned, all the big franchisors, they are present, and not just some regular folks from their company. We're talking the C-suite is present from these large franchisors. And it gives you an opportunity to bump into these folks at lunch, at dinner, at an educational session, at one of the networking events that happen. And so for me, establishing an opportunity to make a connection with one of these folks that you otherwise would have to probably go through 10 different gatekeepers to try to get in front of, it could be an opportunity for you to strike a conversation and ask some questions to someone that's running or leading a large franchise organization. So for me, that's one of my big takeaways. And I see it happen every year I go. And then the second is the educational component to it. By far, the educational tracks and programs that are available, they literally have something for everyone. It's not just franchise sales and financing. It's operations, it's training, it's support, it's international, it's vendor, it's supplier, it's inventory management, it's anything you could ever possibly need. And so I just share that so that if someone's looking for that extra oomph, that extra something, I just plant that seed out there. And Paul, just let you maybe re-emphasize some of those points or some examples of that.
Yeah, and Tom, you spot on, my friend. I mean, yes, the IFA annual convention is ongoing educational seminars and sessions and various summits on every aspect of franchising. And you see this all the time, Tom, as do I, at least from my vantage point. Franchising is franchising. It's all the same, whether you're flipping hamburgers, switching out mufflers, or trying to fill hotel beds. Franchisors are all dealing with the same issues, generally speaking. And yes, there's competition within the 300 verticals that utilize the business that franchise model as a means of distribution and growth. But folks love going back to the people coming up the ladder behind them. Tom, you and I see it all the time, especially even at the franchise expos. One of our partners, MFE Symposium, they put on the three main franchise expos that we sponsor throughout the year, and especially with the newer brands that exhibit at the expos. Those folks are always learning, from the other, kind of Fran Dev people who've been, kind of doing this for a million years, and they learn the tricks of the trade, and there's no reason to recreate the wheel, none whatsoever. I mean, obviously, Tom, folks like yourself and the services that you provide, I mean, you really do provide, what I always refer to as people as, that stellar hand-holding service. I mean, I always try to tell people, you're not in the restaurant business anymore. You're in the franchise business. And if you can't comfortably, put on that hat, wear that hat, and realize that you're, even if you have a company, even if you have 2 or 3 corporate locations, you've got to realize that you are now in the franchise business. You're not in the restaurant business. And if you can't comfortably wear that hat and realize that, then you're not going to be a successful franchisor. And you need, people like like you, Tom, to kind of hold their hand, if you will, and help guide them so they will be a successful franchisor. And then obviously getting involved in IFA and networking with your peers in franchising. You know, people always benchmark. It's always good to benchmark yourself against other brands to a certain extent to even validate that you're doing everything right. Or maybe you're not doing certain things right, or you're always going to learn from other folks. And that's, I mean, there's so much value to that. And I think, Tom, you and I both see that all the time. You know, people are always, learning from other folks, in the franchise space. I mean, listen, even though I've been around for a long time and, I'm an association guy, but I learned something new about franchising, every single day. Even though, I might feel like I know more than other folks, maybe even here at IFA, but I still learn something new every day. And, so at our convention, the one thing I like that we started doing a few years ago is we've, because if you've never attended the IFA convention before, the agenda could be overwhelming. And we've broken the agenda down into various tracks. So, for example, if you're emerging franchisor, you would just click on, the track agenda, click on emerging franchisor, and then it'll pull out everything that an emerging franchisor is going to want to attend a convention. And, for example, on the Sunday of the convention, which is February 26th, we have not only the annual leadership conference and the new member first time attendee reception, but then we also, it's all about networking. And then we have the opening, networking reception as well. And on Monday, February 27th, we have our emerging franchisor boot camp from 7:45 to 10:15. Now, I will say that the leadership conference and the emerging franchisor boot camp, there is a separate fee, to attend that. So, for example, if you've never, for those folks who aren't members of IFA, if you're an emerging brand, membership is $2,500. And if you've never attended the IFA convention, we're going to provide you, upon joining, we're going to provide you with a 50% discount to attend the convention. So right now, the member rate to attend the convention is $1,299. And once you join, you'll be able to attend for $650 per person. And just so you know, the non-member rate to attend the convention is, it's almost $6,500. It's $6,499. So, easy for me to say, but I like to think that the entry fee of $2,500 for startup and emerging brands, I think it's a pretty good value. Granted, again, I'm biased, but I really do believe that if you've never attended the IFA convention and you take a few days out of your busy schedule to come to Vegas, believe me, you're going to walk out of there and you're going to be shocked if you don't say that's the best time I've spent all year.
And
yeah.
Paul, I'm going to just add into that, in addition to the education and I think some networking opportunities you're going to find with other franchisors and finding others that are going through the same, like you said, Paul, it doesn't matter which industry you're in. Once you're in franchising, you have those very similar challenges that occur all the time. And the other piece I'd like to mention is just about the exhibitor floor and the vendors
Excellent.
that come
Thank
to these
you.
shows. Yeah. So one of the things, for example, our organization, it's not really an ideal spot for us that we've determined to exhibit at this show. However, I will tell you, I look forward every year to actually walking the show floor because I meet my vendors and suppliers that are there. And in fact, last year, we signed up with a new vendor on the show floor that we'd been talking for 2 or 3 years and happened to see him there. And so the thing that I like about it is that those exhibitors that are present at this expo, they're serious about franchising. And so for me as an advisor, one of the things I tell our clients all the time is you're welcome to work with any vendor or supplier you'd like, but there is a difference once you get into franchising to working with this vendor or supplier that specializes in franchising, because that franchisor and franchisee dynamic is very unique to franchising. And so there are brands that get it and those who don't. And a lot of companies and salespeople are happy to tell you, yes, we do business with franchise companies all the time, and we do this and that. But when it comes down to it, they really don't have a franchise program. And so that's why I really like going to the show as well, is to meet some of these vendors that I work with regularly, that we refer out, that are great people. I get a chance to meet them, and I get to see what else is new and out and upcoming. So just if you're looking for any kind of supplier to help support your franchise network, I just put that plug out there for the other vendors out there that it is a phenomenal place to be.
100%. And you know, you said it better than I do, my friend. I always tell our franchisor members, or even potential members, you know, I'm a little old school, you know, but take a legal pad of paper or take your iPad and jot down all the pain points you're having internally at headquarters, or, you know, within your franchise system, and walk the trade show floor. And I would be shocked if you do not find a vendor who could alleviate the pain point for you. And you will. And to your point, it's 100%. Now, almost about 100% of the supplier members who exhibit at our convention are very active in franchising. They understand the business format franchise model. And there's a lot to be said for that, because franchising is very unique. So it's always important to make sure that, you know, whatever vendor you're working with, that, you know, I always like to only support those folks that are members of IFA, but, you know, we do list all of the exhibitors on the convention section on our website. But if anybody's interested in, you know, I'm not going to lie, it's a little hard to navigate. If you're having trouble trying to find the list of exhibitors, just reach out to me and I'll walk you through the list. But we do list them all there, and there's quite a few. It's over 300 exhibitors. You know, obviously it's law firms, PR firms, marketing firms, tech companies, and everybody in between. But
yeah,
but again,
financing. I just toss out financing companies,
exactly.
Territory mapping companies,
Yep.
Promotional item companies,
Yep.
Custom packaging, inventory supplies, like all kinds of things that you maybe even never knew you needed.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
available, and you might not even be ready for it, but just to know that it exists. And Paul, I think your suggestion, that's one of the best suggestions I've ever heard for going to convention, is to write down on a notepad or a piece of paper those pain points you have, and walk the show floor and just see if you can find a solution. Someone's going to be there. You're right. Someone's going to be there.
Yeah. 100%. Exactly, Tom. And then, of course, the IFA, you know, we also have a booth on the trade show floor. And though I'm usually in a million places at once, feel free to stop by. But, you know, there will always be an IFA colleague there, and some of our volunteer leaders as well. So if you're interested in finding out about, you know, IFA committees, or if you're currently a member and you want to find out about getting more involved in IFA, like I said, IFA committees, you know, we have the franchisor forum, the franchisee forum, the supplier forum. Now, I will say, like, you know, supplier forum is a nominated position, similar to the IFA board of directors, but franchisor forum, if you're interested in joining that, you know, my colleague Hader is the liaison to the franchisor forum, but you know, definitely stop by the IFA booth and you can learn more about IFA and really everything we do to help, again, protect, enhance, and promote franchising, and also our CFE program, our Certified Franchise Executive Program. I always refer to it as kind of like getting your master's degree or continuing education in franchising. I obtained my CFE a few years ago, and I have to renew it every few years. But I'll tell you, it was probably one of the best things I did, especially when it comes to learning about like sales compliance, for example. Our FranGuard course is one of the required courses. But we just brought on about a year ago, a new CFE team. So my colleague Sandy Curtis is overseeing education now, and then my colleague Brittany is working directly with folks who are trying to obtain the CFE program and keeping them on track, kind of like the registrar, if you will. And then at the convention, we have every year at the convention, we have our graduating class. So there's going to be a few hundred people getting their CFE at the convention. So,
and Paul, by the way, might I say, I'll be in that graduating class this year for the CFE. So just putting that out there.
Dude. I wasn't sure if you were or not. In fact, I thought you already graduated.
No, I for whatever reason hadn't gotten around to it, and finally said, okay, I've got to do it. Actually,
good
talking
for you,
to
man. Congratulations. Seriously, congratulations. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
When they say your name, man, you'll hear a loud whistle. You'll hear a loud whistle, man. No, that's perfect. Great. Congratulations. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah. And I would echo.
And it wasn't, it's fairly easy, but it's still also, you've got to take a test, and we've partnered with University of Louisville now. So there are some courses you do have to take through the University of Louisville. It's a lot of, virtual and then also in person. But you have up to 3 years to complete it. Obviously, if you're an IFA member, there's a member rate. You don't have to be an IFA member to get your CFE, but did you think it was helpful? Did you think it was hard, easy, and different?
Yeah, no, it was great. For me, I've been I've been in franchising a long time. I've seen a lot, but I will say, you go through the program, you learn something new. There's something new that you didn't know about or you weren't quite sure of. It's like, oh, okay, that's a quick, reminder and update. And then you customized a lot of the course and program for yourself anyway. So I tried to take programs that I didn't know a whole lot about or that I was interested in learning more about. So I did that and got that completed last year so that I could be at convention this year. So
that's awesome, man.
It's really great.
Congratulations. Also,
thanks.
Getting back to like again, it's the annual convention could be very overwhelming for folks, but we have it broken down by track. So again, if you're an emerging franchisor, you just click on the emerging franchisor track, and then the other tracks: finance track, franchise development, franchise relations, franchisee, industry trends track, international track, marketing track, operations track, and real estate. So, I always try to tell folks, it's always good to bring additional people so you could kind of divide and conquer. So, if you bring somebody from your finance team, they could just focus on the finance stuff. If you bring somebody from your fran dev team, they could focus on that. Your ops team, they could focus on just all the ops stuff. And that way, you're all, bringing something, back from the IFA convention to make sure that, you are, doing everything you can be possibly doing to make sure that, your franchise system is heading in the right direction. It's all about best practices, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. And I think having a plan, the nice thing is for most folks, they've got to get on a flight to get to Las Vegas. So while you're on the flight heading to Vegas, take the little cocktail napkin they give you or a little sheet of paper, the magazine you're reading, and write out those handful of things that you're interested in taking a look at. So that way, then you have some strategy going into it. I think that's the best. I think that's phenomenal advice that you gave there, Paul, for folks to consider. And well, one of the things I'd like to do, we have several folks on. I just want to make sure if there are any questions, I'm happy to keep asking and keep leading that direction. But we have a few folks, anyone interested in raising their hand, typing somebody in the chat box if you have any questions there.
And if not, that means you and I are doing a really good job, I guess.
That's right. That's right. Well, Paul, I would say I'll give if you're interested, like Paul said, contact him direct. If you're not ready to have a conversation, it's a really easy website to go to. It's just franchise.org/convention. franchise.org/convention. And they've got it laid out very nicely for the 5 days that they have laid out. They've got the tracks, they've got the agendas, all of the things there. And it looks like Chip has a quick question. Hold on one second.
Awesome.
All right, Chip. Yeah, you're unmuted there. Go ahead. Just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Sorry, Paul, could you repeat your telephone contact, please?
Oh yeah, you bet. Email for me is procchio@franchise.org. That's P for Paul, and then my last name ROCCHIO@franchise.org, franchise.org. Thanks, Tom. And my phone number, my direct dial here at IFA is 202-662-0790.
Thank you very much.
You bet, Chip. Thank you. And Tom, thanks for putting that in there.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, thanks, Chip. Thank you very much. Well, Paul, this has been great. I would say, again, I think that this is a great opportunity. And by the way, I will be at the show. Paul will be there. So if you'd like to connect with us in person, we'll be there live in the flesh, available to chat. And by the way, I'm flying solo on this one, so I'd be happy to give you some extra time, walk you around, show, and if I can be a resource to help lead you to a track or attend some sessions together, I'd be happy to do that just for anyone that's tuning in here.
And Tom, listen, if I haven't asked you already, I'm gonna ask you to be an ambassador for me.
Yeah,
I'm still working on this is our crazy time of year, but it's also the best time of year for us. This is the one time we get to shine and be with not all of the IFA members, but a lot of them. So this is just this is the best. This is just my favorite time of year. It's just seeing I always we call it the franchise family, right? It's like the franchise family reunion, and it's just great to always see folks. I think like people like you and me tend to do other shows. Obviously, the franchise expos, that MFE puts on, but but there's other folks who don't always who aren't doing the Fran Dev or aren't always getting out to other industry or like industry events. But it's always good to kind of start the year with the IFA convention. But I know I will definitely see you throughout the year as well, my friend. But definitely look forward to seeing you in Vegas, and of course if you need anything while you're there, you know where to find me, buddy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I will come by and find you. And I would say one final part too that the IFA is doing is just their political action committee that they have with FranPac. And I would just be remiss to not mention the great work that they've been doing across the country to advocate on behalf of franchising and support the sustainability of the franchise model at local, state, and federal government bodies. And so the franchise association, just for all of you to know, is doing not just providing great education, creating best practices, creating networking opportunities, and so on, but it's also advocating on behalf for legislation that is in favor of the franchise model. So I just put that out there because they're doing great work with that as well.
Thank you. And I can't stress that enough. I mean, in my tenure, we've never seen, there's been more of a direct threat to the business model than ever before, really, in the past six to 10 years. And we're having to spend quite a lot of money on protecting franchising. And, we are a small trade association, and, we're always having to battle, really, the SEIU. We always join forces. Like I said earlier on, it's all about coalition. So we always work closely with the National Restaurant Association, American Hotel, Motel, and Lodging Association. I mean, obviously, with the FAST Act in California and joint employer issue. But FAST Act is affecting, the restaurant segment. We had some wins, we had, some losses, but at the end of the day, our government relations team, along with the folks at the National Restaurant Association and the California Restaurant Association and the National Retail Federation, we've all done a stellar job, along with our members, all of our members collectively, because that's what it's all about. It's all about grassroots politics and grassroots lobbying. We cannot protect franchising without the support of our members, because that's who the legislators want to hear from, and really the franchisees, at the end of the day. But I can't stress that enough, and thank you for that. And if anybody wants to get involved in what we're doing on the government relations side, we have our grassroots program is our Franchise Action Network, our FAN. And if you want to get involved in FAN, just reach out to me, and I'll connect you with the right people. And also, we're Matt Haller, when he became our CEO, he kind of restarted a really awesome PR campaign for franchising called Open for Opportunity. We just had an OFO in Minneapolis this week, and it's it's a vehicle for educating, local politicians, and even just the general public, as well as, the members of Congress, on the benefits of franchising. And, this is something, where we take everybody on, back of the house tour at I believe they were at a Taco John's, and they did a back of the house tour at a Taco John's. And these are just, and, we're going to be doing one in New Jersey. We're going to be doing one in Vegas, leading up to the convention. And this is just a wonderful vehicle to showcase IFA members, franchisors, franchisees, and suppliers alike. So if anybody's interested in learning more about that, stop by the IFA booth if you're at the convention, or definitely reach out to me, and I'd be happy to educate you more on that program.
Great. Well, thank you, Paul. This has been absolutely phenomenal. Again, it's franchise.org/convention. If you're interested in attending, it's to me one of the best events of the whole year, if not the best event in franchising, from an educational standpoint, networking, and just making some great contacts within the franchise community. So any other final questions or comments, please type them in the chat box for a moment, or raise your hand, and we'll unmute you so you can ask Paul a question directly. And if there aren't, then we'll go ahead and close this out. And Paul, I'd just like to thank you for your time and for being here to help talk about this.
Oh, Tom, you're welcome. And thank you for this opportunity, my friend. Really, really do appreciate it. And looking forward to seeing you in person soon, buddy.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we'll see you in about 6 weeks. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks so much.
Everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Have a great
Bye
weekend.
now. See you, Tom. See you, buddy.
Bye.